Hi, my name is Bella. I'm 17 years old. Have you ever felt that you become distant from your other half? While both pretended that nothing was happening? What if your friend was the reason? Watch the video to the end and find out how I overheard my boyfriend with my best friend and how it turned out. I'm not a very sociable person. I didn't have time to make friends because of the constant vocal lessons, but I felt really important on stage. It's a sense of the stage, the crowd, the glory. I've performed a lot and I've never been afraid of the stage, but I've never been confident. I felt that when I wasn't on stage, people didn't take me seriously, that I was becoming absolutely nothing. No one wants to be invisible. We are all human and we all want attention and love, but no one wants to lose that. Sometimes I even go overboard in how much control I have over people in my life. In such moments, my best and only friend always helps me. She keeps saying that I'm overreacting, that sometimes I just have to ask to find out the truth. Her name is Lexi. Unlike me, she's a blasé person. On the stage and in life, she's bold and very cheerful. She's the most optimistic person I know. She loves music very much and dreams that we will create our own band and leave. I remind her every time that we're not going anywhere without my boyfriend, that there'll always be the three of us. Have you ever heard of a love triangle? Ever been in it? What if you are an extra angle in this triangle? My boyfriend's name is Nick, but I jokingly call him Edward. You know, Edward and Bella. Lexi set me up with Nick last year, and the three of us still hang out. He told us that the school was holding a music talent contest and offered to take part in it. Lexi and I agreed at once. I thought this was a great idea because creating together helps you better understand what relationships are really like between people. We started rehearsing on the same day. Nick chose me as the lead singer. I was overjoyed. We needed to come up with a name for our group, so we decided to use the main letter of our names. Everything was good until I leaned over Lexi to pick her up at rehearsal one day. She stood up abruptly to startle me and accidentally hit me on the jaw with her forehead. Lexi asked how I was. It was the first time I'd seen her so scared. I went to the mirror and looked at myself. My mouth was bleeding. I'm very afraid of the sight of blood, and every time I lose consciousness. It happened this time too. I came to myself in my room. Nick and Lexi were sitting next to me. I started talking to them and couldn't pronounce the words properly. When Lexi hit me, my tooth broke off and I started to lisp. Lexi said that she would sing instead of me so I wouldn't have to strain myself. Nick supported the idea and said that Lexi had a very beautiful voice. I felt a strong injustice. Did he mean that she sang better than me? So maybe she was better at everything than me? We rehearsed for hours in Nick's garage, but I couldn't concentrate. The last few days I had so many thoughts in my head. I didn't like being in the company of Lexi and Nick. I wanted to run away all the time. And the chipped tooth wasn't the reason. They stood together and had fun. And I was like nothing. They looked good together. Maybe if Nick wasn't dating me, he would be dating Lexi. I decided to do an experiment. Was leaving your boyfriend alone with your best friend a good idea? I wanted to see what would happen. These thoughts did not leave my head. I was under a lot of stress. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror properly. I started to think that Nick wasn't interested in me anymore because he wasn't talking to me at all and I couldn't ask what was wrong. After all, in fact, he did not do anything wrong. But why did I feel so bad? I was torn between could not be worse and everything is fine. I mean, Lexi told me that I got too worked up. But what if she was just saying that to throw dust in my eyes? I didn't know what was true anymore. After the tooth incident, I didn't feel any love from either Nick or Lexi. They spent more time with each other than with me. My plan was put into motion. Nick and Lexi were already together, nothing new. I sat down with them. They only spoke to me when they had finished. Really, why interrupt it? I was an empty place. I had long since become one in their eyes. Nothing new, it was time to get used to it. Have you ever been jealous of your boyfriend or friend? What did you feel? What do you think makes you feel jealous? Lexi just asked what we were doing on the weekend. I offered to go camping. They agreed and said they wanted to spend time together, just us three. At that moment, I thought again that I was wrong. After all, Nick was my boyfriend and Lexi was my best friend. They would never do this to me. What would come out of my experiment? Should I have started it anyway? Nick helped me carry my rucksack, but then came back for Lexi's. I was already boiling like a kettle. I wanted to ask directly what was going on between them, but I didn't have the courage. I told my friends that I was tired of being on the road and decided to go to bed, covered myself with blankets and pretended to be asleep. I was actually spying on these two. I wanted to know how they behaved to each other when I wasn't around. Nick leaned over and took off his sweater. I couldn't believe my eyes. Would Nick cheat on me? With my best friend? He gave the sweater to Lexi and she put it on. When I was cold, he didn't take such care. Did this mean that my suspicions were not delusional? I couldn't get that trip out of my mind. I was completely unfocused. I didn't hit the notes during the entire rehearsal and my boyfriend got really angry. He said that he would take another guitarist if I didn't start playing properly. I was like a bottle of milk that was not finished, but they bought another. I didn't want to upset Nick, so I tried to rehearse properly. At the concert, Nick and Lexi stood next to each other. He put his arm around her as she sang. From what I saw, I froze in the middle of my part. I realized that I had been right all along. Nick played for me. You should have seen their faces. After the performance, Nick and Lexi came over to me. They said I had ruined their victory. Nick hinted that I was being inappropriate and that I needed to come to my senses. He offered Lexi a cup of coffee and they left. They left me alone. I felt like a complete fool. Nick openly flirted with Lexi and she responded to his flirting. But they both pretended that nothing was happening. In the evening, I invited them to my house. I was ready to talk to them seriously and get the truth out of them. When they arrived, they acted as if I wasn't there at all. They just kept interrupting me and ignoring me. They often touched each other, and it infuriated me. I said I was going to make tea. I braced myself to tell them everything. When I came and found them gone, I was even angrier. There was a noise in the bathroom, so I decided to eavesdrop. Someone was breathing loudly. Were they doing this in my house? I opened the door abruptly. They were lying on the floor with sly faces and were making erotic sounds in their clothes. They started laughing at me. I realized that I was being cheated and locked myself in my room. Why do all this? Nick and Lexi climbed in through the window. I didn't really want to talk, so they asked me to just listen to them. They said that they were tired of proving that I was important to them, and they appreciated my feelings. If I didn't learn to trust people close to me, I would always suspect them of something. So they pranked me. They understood about my experiment when I was carrying 3 blankets. I was very ashamed. It seemed to me that I was right, when in fact I was completely closed in myself and my thoughts. I almost lost both of them because of my suspiciousness. But I won't let it happen again. I started talking to them about my experiences and fears, and I really felt better. If you like my story, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon so as not to miss a new story. Have a good day, and remember that you should value your loved ones and be able to trust them.